Okay, so we went through, and what we did here was we entered the number of siblings, the frequency, and this third column is going to be the frequency. I'm sorry, the frequency times the number of siblings. So we multiplied these two in order to get the third column. Okay. Now, once we went out and we found what the average was, or the mean, it was 2.1961. Okay. So that's my number right here, 2.1961. So now check this out. Here's what I do. They want me in this column. I'm going to do the original values, which is L1, and I'm going to subtract that number, 2.1961. That's what we call the deviation. So this right here is called the deviation. So I'm going to go, that's going to be my L4. Don't worry about writing it. I'm just going to send you the video. You can look at it, okay? So I'm going to go back to edit. I got my columns. I'm going to go to L4 this time, okay? And inside, I have numbers in here from before, so that's why I'm just going to go up and clear these out for a second, okay? So now I'm going to go into this L4, and in L4, I'm going to do this. Ready? I'm going to do L1, which are the original numbers, and I'm going to subtract the mean, which is 2.1961, okay? What that does is that's going to give me the deviation, which is this L4, the very top, okay? So it's L1 minus that average we found. Now, when we do this and we press enter, you're going to get negatives. We can't have negatives in here. So in order to get rid of negatives, we like to go and just square everything. It's called the squares of the deviations. So I'm going to go to L5, up over top of L5, and I'm going to do L4, which is the deviations, and I'm going to square them. Okay? So I'll zoom out for a sec so you can see my hands. I did L4, and then I squared it with that value right there. Okay? So now when I square it, everything becomes, guess what? Positive. Okay? Now we have one last thing. We're going to take all this junk, and we're going to multiply it by the frequency, which was L2. Okay? You'll be able to play this back, so I don't want you getting overwhelmed. So I'm going to go to L6, and now I'm going to put in L4, which was that value right there, and I'm going to, L5. And I'm going to multiply it by the frequency, which was list 2. Okay? So squares of deviations times the frequency. Now when I do it, you get all these numbers, okay? Well, if I add them all up, I get what we call the variance, okay? So if I add all them up, okay, I'm going to go to quit, and I'm going to go back to that sum, second list, go over to sum, and I'm going to do L6, okay? And what that just gave me was, this gives me the variance. Now remember, the variance is always the standard deviation squared, okay? And what we can do is we just go do the square root of that number, which is 162.039. Okay. Okay, that was for the group data. Just make sure. Here comes all this other stuff. Okay. So the sum of the last column is going to be the variance. Taking the square root of that gives me the standard deviation. This is the standard deviation, 12.73. Okay.